And really, that's what we're here for. We're here to create legacy. That's what life's about.
Yes.
What's the story?
Yeah.
What is the story that people are going to say
Mm-hmm.
about you?
Yep.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to In the House podcast. I'm Tony Singh.
And I'm Jenny Woon.
And we have our very good friend, Mr. Randy Dyck from EXP Realty in the studio with us today in person. Hi, Randy. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm awesome, Tony.
Well,
Jenny.
Thank you so much for joining us. You drove all the way out here from White Rock today.
That I did.
To be here with us in person. And you're just a wealth of knowledge. And what I really appreciate about you is your evolution from, being a top producing realtor in the Fraser Valley specifically was your area, right? Fraser Valley, Surrey, White Rock area?
Yeah, well, Abbotsford specifically.
Abbotsford specifically. Yeah. But I guess your evolutionary journey from a top producing realtor, you formed your own team, and now you've kind of been shifting a little bit out of production from our conversations, right?
Yes.
And into more of a leadership role at EXP Realty in general, and also for your guys as agents. Like, I feel like the leadership component for you is what's lighting you up at the end of the day.
Absolutely, yeah. And I would say, EXP is my brokerage. However, it's leadership. And I've recently done some things kind of radical with my team. And,
share it with us.
Well, so 32 years in the business.
Yeah.
Single agent, rookie agent at my office, became the top producer in that office. Then I bought the office.
Are you allowed to name the office?
It was Clearbrook Realty.
Clearbrook Realty.
It was a little boutique realty in Abbotsford. And, absolutely loved that little office. And I was a big fish in a small pond.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But, you think you're so good because, you're the top producer in that office, but it was only 32 agents at the time.
Mm.
And so from there, I bought into the brokerage and realized how difficult owning a brokerage was.
Yeah, it's tough. Jenny owns...
What inspired you to move to an ownership, broker owner?
Well, that's a great question, Jenny, because I grew up on a farm in southern Alberta, and it was always about, building something beyond just a paycheck. And so as a farmer, you're always planting, harvesting, thinking next year's going to be better, and we're going to build something special and big. And you never really make it in farming until you sell the farm.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, if I owned this brokerage, someday it'd be worth something of a sizable number. A big equitable event would happen, and that would be beneficial to myself and my family and build, financial legacy through that. But it didn't take me very long to realize how difficult it was and how little money
in the brokerage.
we were making.
Thank you for announcing that.
No,
yes.
it is true.
Yeah,
we talked about
both
that
run
before.
Brokerages.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was so frustrated because I was working my tail off to keep the lights on for the agents that weren't paying their bills.
Right.
They weren't producing.
They weren't producing, weren't paying their bills. We had some good agents that were very, very good, but there was a lot that just weren't. And it was a really tough time in the market too. That was the late 90s.
Okay.
So I'm dating myself now.
No, I remember that because my dad was he's a licensed realtor still, actually. And I remember that time because I was a little girl. It was really stressful times in real estate.
Yeah. There was a particular government in power at that time. Might still be that same one. No.
So this is great because we do want to hear about your background and how you've moved into these new roles and these new areas. So you bought the brokerage.
Yes.
And then tell us from there what your evolution was.
So from buying the brokerage and realizing how difficult it was, and it wasn't really my jam, so to speak, and I had partners, and I realized how difficult it was to have partnerships, and I wasn't prepared for that at a young age. So I connected with the RE/MAX agent owner, the broker owner, and we both sat in a restaurant together, and we said, "Who's going down first?"
Because of the market or because you're competitive?
Because the market was so challenging. He
It
had
was.
36 agents at that time. I had 28,
Oh.
and we were both struggling. And it was like, what are we going to do? Why don't we join forces?
Ooh, I like that.
So
Collaboration.
collaboration over competition.
Mhm.
And so walked our brokerage down to the Remax brokerage. Only 13 stayed with us. That's what happens. But I went from that to just being a producer again
Yeah.
and not an owner. And from there, I realized the value of being around great people. So proximity of power.
Mm.
And so once I was in the Remax world, I realized, hey, you're not much of a big fish. You're a minnow in the scheme of things. And I was hanging out with people that are doing 400 and 500 deals a year. And I realized, okay, this is what I need to aspire to.
Mhm.
And so from that, I just started, doing R&D, rip off and duplicate, and started to copy how the big agents were producing those number of sales. Started out with an assistant, first buyer's agent, second, third, fourth, and started building a team. And so I've now had team for 23 years.
Wow.
Okay.
And so I was at Remax for almost 20 years and absolutely loved it. It was so good for me and the people I met and just how I could hone my skill around what I saw them doing, and became one of the top producers at Remax over many, many years, and the top 1, 2, 3 team producer in the Fraser Valley for a couple decades.
At your peak point, so what did that team look like? How many buyers, agents, and
Great
assistants?
question. I flexed from 3 agents to at one point I had 28 agents
On your team.
on my team.
Wow.
And the sweet spot is 3 to 4 agents.
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot. That's where you can still kind of manage and control things. You've got good people. And that was the sweet spot for me as a team lead.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were in production and team lead and you had, let's say, the 3 agents, you also had the admin assistant, and did you have your own in-house marketing? Or
Yeah.
through Remax?
No, I brought everything in-house.
Okay.
And so, when we were 4 agents, we did 450 ends.
And what was your main role during that time when you were doing that many transactions?
Listing specialist.
Yeah.
So I just cranked listings and had young, hungry, great agents that just would go through a wall for me if I needed to. But I'd go for a wall for them too, go through a wall for them as well. And so we just had this amazing culture synergy between the 4 of us. And, it was almost, I'm a twin, by the way. So I have this twin thing happening. I can talk to my twin without talking to my twin, but we had this kind of thing happening within the team that we knew where everybody was. We knew what they needed, what they're thinking, how I could help, how they could help. And it was just magic. It was magic.
So just on that note then, Randy, what do you think creates great culture within a team? Like, how do you create that from scratch?
That's a really great question. And I don't know if I have the answer. I thought I had it. Back then, this was in the mid 2000s when I was cranking out those 450 ends with 4 agents, 3, 4 agents. And I just thought it was so easy because the first buyer's agent that I brought on, rock star. Second one, rock star. Third one, he'd been licensed as long as I had, and I knew him from the past. And then I brought him in, rock star. And I thought, this is pretty easy. I'm an amazing leader, I'm thinking to myself, right? Because I've assembled this awesome team that we're all, averaging 100 plus deals each a year.
Yeah.
And then it fell apart.
How did it fall apart? If we can, because it's really important to talk about the challenges we all experience, and it leads to the next thing on your journey.
And I didn't understand this in the moment.
Yeah.
It was, in fact, I'm still learning this. I'm still learning this. When you're pretty good at something, you start to believe that you're good at everything.
Right.
Your ego
That's
is
what I was
not your
gonna say.
amigo.
That's great.
So your
And
agents developed an ego.
Well, I developed an ego as
You
well.
developed an
And I thought, man, this is so easy. I've got this. And then I hired a business coach. And there just wasn't something right with this business coach. I could feel it, but he was bringing some really good value to what I was doing and organizing a lot of systems, a lot of financial pieces to what I was doing so I could track my numbers better. So there's some really good things, but he had a conflict with my youngest agent. And my youngest agent had a massive ego.
So did the business coach come in to coach you or the team altogether?
Both.
Okay.
So, started with me as a lead, but then he would give coaching to the team agents, and he just really didn't jive with this one agent, and so the two of them were having conflict, and I was paying this fellow quite a bit of money, and I was he's bringing value, and I took his advice, which was not good advice in hindsight. Hindsight's beautiful, isn't it? And I sent this agent down the road. And that was the demise of so much.
Interesting.
Because he left. See, up until this, everybody wanted to be they're fighting to get onto my team because I was producing agents or having agents produce 100+ ends
of course
a year. So everybody was knocking on Randy's door. Hey, can we join your team? Can I join your team? And no, this is kind of an exclusive club kind of thing.
Yeah.
And once this individual had left, he went on to have a very successful individual career and then built his own team, which is great.
Yeah.
But now people saw this as, come to Randy.
Take what he's got.
Learn, glean, leave.
Interesting.
Learn, and that cycle just started going over and over again. And so this is where I started.
So you didn't see that?
I didn't see it coming.
You didn't see it.
Didn't see it coming. And so from that moment on, it's been a struggle to really keep a strong team. I do have agents, and I'll say this: in the last 5 years, that has all changed. I guess I could say it's a little bit about my leadership, but I'm going to say it's about the model that I've created, and also the brokerage that I'm with that just instills a different thought in the mindset of every agent, because at EXP, all agents become owners. And ownership mindset changes a lot of everything. But man, I've been through. I've helped train all my competitors, which I'm grateful for. I think that's part of the legacy plan of my life is to help people become amazing, and seeing others do well. That you've had a little piece of that, and you've been the conduit of something in their lives. That's very rewarding. And even now, so come to today, actually December 1st is the last day of what I call my team of today, because I'm moving on.
Tell us more about that.
Okay.
This is important. And again, this is about your journey, right? And what you're moving into.
Well, we haven't even, we skipped
I know,
through
we did.
How did you go from RE/MAX to EXP and then to now, I guess tomorrow's November 30th. What's going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, do we want to stay on the team, or do we want to go back to my decisions 5 years ago?
Well,
Everything.
I think we want to talk about it all, but we'll get there.
This is a lot of fun for me, by the way.
Is it? No, this is exciting for us too. So we'll get there. Why don't you then, we'll go back to the team for a second, but you did mention December the 1st. It's all related. Something is changing.
Yes.
So what is that? What does it look like for you, and what role are you moving into?
So you don't stick with a team for you don't do team for 23 years if you don't love it. I absolutely love it. And let's be real. I would make more money as an individual than as a team lead.
Yep.
Let's be real. Everybody listening to this, if you want to become a team lead because you think it's about the money, it ain't about the money. It's about serving and helping.
It is.
And giving to others. That's what being a team lead is.
I question that all the time. I'm like, I could save so much money if I just was on my own.
Yeah.
And also your comment about running the brokerage too.
Yeah.
I don't need to be running a brokerage.
I know.
But it
we
does
talked
cause
about that
a lot of
before.
headache.
And so this
but
is
it's
good.
not because of the money.
I know. Okay, sorry, Randy.
We're just on the same page
We're just
as
so
you.
thrilled to be here with you. Okay, continue on. So
So, by the way, I often ask this question if I'm speaking. I say, so do you think I make more money as a team lead than it is as an individual? And everybody says, yeah, team lead, team
No.
lead. Not
And
a
it's more
chance.
responsibility too.
Yes.
It's a
It's a lot of
lot of
weight on my shoulders.
responsibility.
Sometimes, some days I'm like, I have to feed these agents. But then I also can I get rid of all these things I have to do, on a day-to-day to make sure that all the agents are supported. So it comes down to being of service and creating the legacy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And really, that's what we're here for. We're here to create legacy. That's what life's about.
Yes.
What's the story?
Yeah.
What is the story that people are going to say
Mm-hmm.
about you?
Yep. Who will die
behind your
when you
back?
cry is Robin Sharma's.
Is it?
There's
I
a
know
quote.
the book.
Yeah,
the
that book. There's a quote in there that
Or
says,
who will cry when you die? I would cry for both of you.
I'm crying now.
I know.
The first 50 years, you're trying to make yourself legitimate. And then the last 50 years, you're trying to create a legacy. But it's complete opposite. You should start from the very beginning. How do you create your legacy?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So Randy is getting a bit emotional, but is it because, so December 1st then, is your team still going to be working, but you're no longer in the production at all? Or does it have to, what are you moving into?
Yeah. Where we spend our energy is where we feel fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And so running the team for 23 years, I was at a point where I wanted to impact thousands, not just 10 or 20 people at a time. And so I was continuing to try and do this, but it was challenging to serve these people that I love, and they're, right in front of me every day. And I see how they're struggling. I'm trying to help them, because the market's a bit tough right now.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I help them succeed? And I came to the conclusion that if I really want to chase my big why and my big dreams, I had to make some changes. And in fact, my why, I'm not serving the agents on my team as a team lead right now.
Got it.
Because, and I didn't realize this until I made the decision, because the moment I made the decision, and I shared this with them in October already, that this was going to be happening, immediately they all were frightened and nervous and scared. And how are we going to do this? And what am I going to do? And I don't know what this is and what that is. And really, I felt like I was maybe
codependent. They were codependent on you.
Right.
Can you give me the range of years they've been with you?
So some as new as 6 months, but I've got an agent's been with me for 16 years.
Wow.
16, 7, 5, 4, some that have been with me quite some time. And we've journeyed, we've had, for 16 years, there's lots that happens. Lots of water goes under that bridge, and some of it's not so pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling there's a little bit of a coaching being immersed. They can still hire you. Is this where the direction it's going?
Yes. Well, I do have a coaching program, and I'm doing a podcast like you as well, Return on Life podcast, which is really exciting for me. And I'm doing Realtor Collective, which is
that's
agnostic
in here too.
events. And I really think that's something that we can take across the nation, where we land in a city and we just put the best agents that want to collaborate and give back on stage, which just raises our professionalism, raises our, our love for what we do, our industry, give back. Yeah. So coming back to your question, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. That's why I'm
all
like,
over the place.
I need you to say it though.
Yeah. So I just felt that I needed to disengage from being a team lead so I could be a leader of many instead of a leader of a few. And so one of the catalysts of that is, of course, EXP has been a catalyst for me in doing that. I was a collaborative person. I really wanted to help people, but I didn't see the global picture. It was always hyper local. Who's in my office right now? Who's on the team? That's where I'm going to spend my energy. But I just see that through 32 years and what I've seen, the experiences, and how I've been able to lead people to become zero to heroes in the business. I've taken some agents from 0 to 45, 50 deals in their first year. So I do have something of value that I need to like give to
to share with
others.
thousands.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's why I made that decision back in October to, disband the team, so to speak. I now call it the collective instead of the team. So these agents are still going to be in my world. I'm still going to be mentoring, coaching, and helping them. It's just they're going to be on their own and they're going to be able to soar now. It's like I've pushed them out of the nest and now they have to learn to soar on their own.
Exactly. They'll be stepping into their own leadership
Yes.
and learning other things.
Yes.
So
Wonderful.
what's one advice you would give them now that they're soaring on their own?
Well, they're so capable. Like anything is possible. Anything is possible if you believe in it. If you
take that opportunity.
Take the opportunity and you're willing to put the effort in. And they're all very, very capable. They're so capable. I've equipped them very well, in my opinion, to soar.
We probably see some of them starting their own team as well.
Yes.
Would you say?
Yes. But they're shocked. Now that they're on their own, they're shocked at what it takes.
It takes
just
a
to
lot.
run their own individual business. Yeah.
And have you transitioned your admin staff into Realtor Collective then? And kind of given them different responsibilities?
Great question. I've released one to go and work with another agent. The moment that was kind of shared out in the public, then people started asking, hey, what about your assistant? Because great assistants I have. So one's gone on to work with another agent. Another one is going to do TC work.
What's that?
Transaction coordinator. Yeah. Because there's a lot of agents that need some help on that side. The paperwork is just ridiculous.
Especially
these days.
now, it's like insane.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she's just going to help agents manage their paper.
Wow.
And then I'm going to keep one. And then another one's transitioned for me to be mostly on my building my brand, my global brand, and my coaching and my agent attraction, as I would call it.
So then the role that you're stepping into, does it include a lot of travel then? You had talked about globally. Is it travel through EXP and touching different realtors in other geographical areas, like you had mentioned, and bringing them on stage and just through collaboration? That's kind of what your goal is. Also through the podcast then.
Yeah. So it's kind of still a work in progress. I'm
This
not
is
sure
fun.
how that's all going to play out yet, but really excited for the future.
So I have a question then, and did we finish the part about team? Not really. But it's okay, we're just going to flow. My question is, knowing what you know now about, all of the amazing lessons you've learned throughout your career, and from a single agent to team agent to disbanding the team, what's your biggest lesson in everything that you've learned?
Biggest lesson? That's a big question.
I know.
Well, I think, first of all, knowing your why. Your why is so important. Why you're doing this. And the why changes all the time. My why when I started in real estate, and just to go back, I had another child on the way, a mortgage, a car payment, flat broke, bank knocking at the door. My why was just, I got to put food on this table and I got to find a way to make a deal. That was my simple why back in 1992, May of 1992. Today, my why is quite different. Today, in fact, I have my why written down with me right now.
Oh, read it. Read it out to us if you want. Yeah.
Let me show you this. So I write my goals and my why on money.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, I've never seen this before.
So here's a $100 bill.
Okay.
I've got a fresh $100 bill in my bag for 2024.
Okay.
And so I write it down. And when you write your goals and your why down, it has a 42% greater chance of it coming true and that you succeeding in that. So I write my why on one side and my goals on the other side. And money has an emotional feeling to it. Like, we can all agree that we chase money or we don't chase money, whatever it is. But money buys stuff.
Yeah.
Does provide resources.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether it's, retail therapy or just paying the mortgage.
That's right.
But so I carry this $100 bill with me almost every day. And when the fear and uncertainty and doubt of life comes at me and says, you can't do that, Randy. You can't, you're not good enough. You're this, you're that. I reach into my pocket and I go, there, that's why. That's why I'm doing this. So my why is to inspire and educate realtors so they can live a life of financial freedom and life freedom, because it's not always about the money.
That's right.
It's about life. And I was just listening to Brandon Bouchard on the way in.
Yeah, he's great.
Guy.
Love, yeah.
But his
Love
whole
his
theme for December is on wealth. And he talked about wealth. And wealth isn't about money. It's about living a rich life. And rich is not just money. It's relationships, and it's finding time for yourself and being you, knowing who you are, being comfortable in your skin. Doesn't matter the situation. You're just, I'm okay with this.
Yep.
I'm good.
Could be knowledge. Wealthy knowledge. That's Tony and I, we did a little test run on what wealth means to us.
Was it 3 or 4 years ago now?
3 and a half years ago.
Yeah.
And it was before we started this podcast, and we were just doing a test run on what wealth meant to us. And we shared it with our friends to see if we would have synergy and if people would listen to us. And I want to know about your goals. What's on the other side of the bill there?
Oh, well, my goals, to be honest, I'm not going to make them this year in most cases. I had this crazy goal. Okay, so this is where my ego gets me into trouble.
Okay.
So it was last year that I'm bumping along, and I connect with a past agent on my team. He joins me back at EXP, and we get talking. And we both get kind of revved up, and our egos get ahead of ourselves. And we say, let's build this amazing team together. Because he had great leadership qualities. And he came from owning a brokerage, by the way. And he left his brokerage. He said, I've been working at this thing for almost 10 years, and I still haven't made a dime.
Okay.
So he left, joined me at EXP, and we were going to build this big, audacious team. And we had visions of 1,000 ends and all this kind of thing. So we had a goal, and my goal was 50 agents on my team in 2023. So I expanded my team to 28 agents this year, and then went, what am I doing?
Right.
So I ran full force ahead into the storm, and the storm got the best of me. It really did. Really did. So that was one. The other is what I call 50 new agents at EXP.
Okay.
So that was part of my goal, is
Recruiting 50 agents,
new agents.
but not necessarily on your team.
Not on my team.
Okay.
Right. So those are my goals. And to have what we call 100 FLQA, which probably doesn't mean much to anybody outside of EXP, but those are frontline qualifying agents.
Okay.
And then, do you want to hear my really big audacious goal? And these I will get. I know I'll get these. The team goals, I've readjusted that, but these I will get. I will get.
I like how you are so determined on the individual goal.
Yeah.
That's
so
now that you're announcing it on our podcast.
It's in the universe.
You have to reach it.
Yes. So I love being in the circle of leaders. And today I know I'm in a circle of leaders here with both you, Jenny and Tony. And so I would love to have, this is my goal, I shouldn't say love, I will have a circle of 10 leaders, 10 of us sitting at a table that are extraordinary, uncommon, superb. By the way, that's what Eximus means.
I just got shivers.
And so each one of the leaders has encouraged, invited, inspired 1,000 people be part of their leadership group.
Mm.
And so that would be my big audacious goal that I want to share with you here today, which has been on my $100 bill.
So what do
I
you do
love
with
that.
that?
Yeah, I was
when
gonna ask.
2020 do you like spend it or do you
Do you keep it?
Are you is there like a drawer full of $100 bills?
Well,
From
this
the
is
previous
the
years?
first time I've done it, and it's been
Okay.
so powerful. It came out of a really interesting goal setting planning. This concept. I had my team in December of last year. We're all sitting around, and so we brought out $50 bills to give to each agent on the team, and just said, "We're betting on you." And this is a $50 bill that we're going to bet on you, that you're going to reach your goals, succeed in your goals this year. And while we're doing it, I went, why are we
Mhm.
not writing our goals on this
the
thing
bills.
and carrying it with us 24/7?
Right.
So I have a question for you, because I'm wondering which one you think would be would work better, or if it doesn't matter.
The 50 or the 100?
No.
Okay.
So I actually do something. I have written myself a check from my checkbook
Mhm.
with the goals on it, and it's on my fridge. But do you think it makes a difference to write it on actual currency? Because I mean, really, they're both pieces of paper symbolizing money. Does it matter? Because and I don't keep it in my pocket, which is maybe something I should do. It's on the fridge. Should I write it on an actual money?
If I could find $1,000 bill or even a $10,000 bill, I think it would even have more value than 100. I could lose 100 today. I'd be disappointed.
Right.
And by the way,
Mhm.
I've lost this. Where's my $100 bill? I can't find it. I'm going through all my pants and my jackets and
It looks like the way it
I
looks, it
know.
looks like it's gone through the washing machine.
It has. And in fact, the beauty of it is that I have to get my Sharpie out and rewrite it all
Rewrite
the
it.
time.
Right.
And that's the value of it too, because every
Yeah.
time you rewrite it, you're imprinting in your
Mhm.
in your mind, your vision, your craziness up in your head that
Mhm.
I'm going for this. And I wrote it down again. And, science says it 48%
That's right.
success when
Yeah.
you do that.
I don't think it matters because if you're looking at it every day, so
So put it in my pocket, not on the fridge.
you could put it on the fridge. You open your fridge every day.
I do look at it every day, but
Right.
maybe I need to
How
keep it
about
with
Carrey.
me.
both? How about
Yeah,
both?
you could do that. Jim Carrey wrote like a $10 million check for himself before he landed his first.
Should I
big
tell you
role.
mine? No, I don't want you.
$1 million?
No.
2 million?
No,
10 million?
it's higher. But that's why I'm like,
I have a question about splits, if I can ask. You had 28 agents.
Yeah.
Did splits work evenly with all the agents, or did it depend on what year they were
good question.
in the business or what their production level was?
Yeah. Great question. Part of my journey this year has been that I've been in these amazing collaboration rooms with top teams across North America. In May, I was in a room in Orlando, then Vancouver in September, and then in Vegas in October. And it was just filled with top team leads from around the country. And we shared splits, shared the bravado of being a team lead, and then the agony of being a team lead. It was interesting. In Orlando, I run this team and I'm doing this and that and that. And then it came to me and I said, I'm running a team, but I'm struggling.
Yeah, that's what I appreciate about you. You're authentic. You're happy to share that with people.
And the room went, woof. And then people start, well, I'm struggling too.
Mm-hmm.
This is the craziness. Out of all those agents and team leads in that room, most were making single-digit net numbers in May.
Really?
In October, a lot of them were not making, they're losing money. They're filling their team account from their personal accounts to keep things going. So coming back to splits, the split that I worked on for almost ever was a 50-50 split. Everything on my team was 50-50. Didn't matter where that client came from. It was a 50-50 split. I took care of the majority of the costs and expenses, and that seemed to work. But it worked because I was highly productive myself.
Yeah.
And so I was basically letting the team take care of the expenses, and I was feeding my own livelihood with my production. As time went on with my agents, I started giving some different splits to some of the people, some of the agents that have been with me for years and years. So, for instance, instead of changing the split, I was doing a bonus structure. So when they'd gotten to a point where they're making, $50,000 in commission paid out to them, I would give them a $2,000 bonus. 75, another 2,000, so on and so on and so on. And so if they're super productive, they were getting larger and larger bonus checks. And so a fellow on my team that's been with me 16 years, he was often ending up at a 75-25 split at the end of the year. Also, with the number of years that they were, if they were with me for more than 5 years, they went from a 50-50 to a 55-45 to me. 10 years or more, 60-40 split, just to, celebrate that they've been with me and they've earned it. They've earned it. They were loyal and they've stayed with me. However, with expenses rising.
So insane.
Like to shoot a house these days, a few grand later,
Yeah.
And so it really wasn't working at the end, to be honest.
Yep.
And today, some of the best teams on their net that I've been in touch with over the last year, their splits are basically, we're going to take all the expenses out of the deal. So whatever that deal, admin, marketing, signage, like all of that comes out first, and then they talk about a split. And
that makes sense with the way things have gone.
Right. And that split wasn't a 50-50. It was depending on how many years they'd been with the team. It depended on if it was a buyer or a seller, two different numbers there. And also it had transaction fees in some cases. So every deal would have a transaction fee. If it was a seller, it might have $300, $500. A buyer might have $250, $300. So many different ways. And if I was, building a team again, I would certainly revisit all that. And one of the things, when you've run a team for so many years and you've had agents with you for so long, it's hard to readjust those splits.
Absolutely.
And I readjusted them a few times along the way. Lots of pushback, unhappy, this, that, but yeah.
I mean, it is a lot more expensive now to market every single listing.
Oh my goodness.
And it doesn't mean that you're going to get that money back if it doesn't sell, right? So the upfront costs are,
You know what I've done with commission at times? This works especially well when you've got sellers that want the discount. We've all had those, right?
Yeah.
But what about the discount? Can you cut your commission? And I would say, oh, you want the family and friends discount? Yeah, I want the family and friends discount. Oh, okay. This is how it works. You pay for all the marketing up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll reduce the commission at the back end.
Yep.
But what if it doesn't sell? Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to a listing presentation where someone's asking 50% off. And I'm like,
oh, you're a star for still going there. I would be like, sorry,
this was over the
appointment
phone.
canceled.
So yeah, we're going to talk in person and see where this imaginary number came out of. Maybe some agents had promises in the past.
For sure.
But yeah, we'll see where it goes.
You know what's funny? Just we've been pretty open about, honestly, the real estate business, being a top producer in the business and being a team lead, it's not easy. We can all agree on that, right? It is not easy. It can be very rewarding, both monetarily and from the leadership perspective in community, but it's not easy. And what's so interesting is that my whole family has been in real estate, my intermediate family. And whenever we list something of someone in our intermediate family, we pay full commission. We don't give a friends and family discount. It's actually the extended family that expects it. And the reason why is because my family knows how difficult it is to market something properly and get it sold. So I just want to say that in the universe.
I can see how solid like your value proposition is
Thank you.
around the dinner table. I can see that.
For sure. And so they're like, oh, can you list this? Sure. You're paying me full commission, right? Yeah.
You had to pay full pop for your dad's place.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right. There was no discount.
No discount. No daughter discount.
You bought your parents' house?
We're in the process of doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really fun and exciting. But it was funny because I won't say the actual number. Well, I could say the number. My dad's like, so 2.2, right? I'm like, what? Yeah, 2.2. The one up the street sold for this. I'm like, yeah, but your basement's like mostly unfinished and you only have the other bedrooms up. I got to renovate the whole thing. Anyhow, yeah, he's an excellent negotiator. So.
Apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
Like, okay, sure, Dad, here you go.
Randy, today's market.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for agents right now? I'm seeing lots of agents struggling. We have over 21,000 agents between the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver and the Fraser Valley. And I know, there's only the top 10% doing most of the business.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have right now?
Before I give advice, I think we need to see where the workforce, the work mind has been shifted so much. I just see it's so difficult for people to put a big effort in today. And I'm not sure if that's society telling them that, if it's just the mindset of where they're at, where we are as a country. I don't know. Like if you go back 10 years, 20 years ago, there was a lot of agents selling 50 plus homes.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people selling 50 homes and there was a lot of people selling 25 or 30 homes. And in order to get on the medallion list, you had to crank out 25 to 30 deals.
Yeah.
Or you weren't on medallion. Today, this year, medallion's going to be about 11 or 12 deals, I think, in the Fraser Valley. Yes.
Is it? I'm not up to date on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think there's just a real shift in how we perceive work today. So that's the first thing I think we need to.
I know where we can blame this on. It's everybody posting all the good stuff that happens in real estate transaction. It's the purchases that the agents can make, the materialistic possessions that they can acquire, and how easy it is to get an offer.
Yes.
Yeah. Good point, Jenny.
But nothing behind the scenes gets exposed.
And so let me go back to when I started, because I think there's some value into the days of old, so to speak. Like I would show up at the office at 8:00. If I wasn't at the office at 8:00, I was late. I treated it like a real job. And I would show up at 8:00 and I would just start grinding. And I said to myself, I cannot go home. I cannot go home until I have an appointment today. However, whatever it takes to get an appointment. And I would grind right till 6:00 and I would go home. And if I didn't have an appointment, guess what I did after 7? I went back to the office and started working again.
I did too.
You mean after dinner? Same day? Okay.
I needed an appointment. I needed to treat this like a real job. And I was just shocked when I started. And today it's even worse, where I would see somebody roll in at 10:30, 11:00. And
in their sweatpants?
In their sweatpants.
Really?
Yes. Like, I mean, I was suited up every day. I know it's changed a little bit, but I was prepared for anything. I didn't look at my schedule and decide how I was going to dress. I was dressed like I was going to meet, a developer, first class, AAA buyer, seller, whatever. I was just ready. That's the way
I love that.
You had to be. And, and the agents that weren't producing, they would show up at 10:30, 11:00. And then, they'd shuffle a few things on their desk and then out for lunch. And it was a long lunch, come back at 2. and shuffle some more papers and water cooler chat. And gosh, it's 4:00.
Waste of time.
And so, so I would just say, like, put in an honest day's work. And what would it look like if you're actually being managed? Like if somebody was managing you and your time, would you actually have a job at the end of the week? So treat yourself like that. I have a saying called GoPro. Of course, there's the GoPros. But what if we wore GoPros and we treated ourselves like pros and our clients could see everything we did throughout the day? Like total authenticity of who we are, what we're doing, how we're acting, and the level of work. And they would go, well, boy, you're serving like maybe 10 or 20 other people, but I know you're working your tail off on all these people. I understand that's how you make a living. But if I'm, if they're watching me show up at 11 o'clock and a late lunch and maybe a cocktail at lunch and, like
mingling at work. When someone comes into the office or they're at a home office, and typically the prep work starts the night before, okay? What should they plan throughout the day if they have no leads?
No leads. Well, there's always leads.
Okay.
There's always leads.
I can give them a list of 50 ways to prospect.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're all old school, technically, right? That I think
that's why we have Randy
exactly.
Here.
That's why we have Randy here.
Some of the ways you prospected at the office.
So prospecting at the office. Well, back in the day, I'd call the phone book if I had to.
Okay.
I just had and thinking about that is so silly today because, you're calling 100 people and first of all, they don't know you. And secondly, how many of those 100 are really actually interested in selling?
I got a good lead the other day from calling someone that I didn't know.
So this was a cold lead or somebody?
Cold.
So my brokerage, we have in our policy manual that we don't support telemarketing only because there's been so many. Yeah, because if you get third-party companies to vet the list, it's not scribed fully and you can still get in trouble if you've gotten. Can you tell us a story about that?
I got nailed.
Did you get penalized?
Yes.
$25K?
I wiped it off my mind. I can't remember how much it was. It was sizable. I negotiated a payment plan.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, so it was third party making calls on my behalf.
Okay.
And I get a call from CRTC saying, hey, listen, actually a letter first, then a call. And I cooperated. I met with them. They said it could have been this many zeros behind this.
Wow.
We're only going to do this many zeros. Okay. I said, thank you.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember, I think it was $12,000.
That's sizable.
Yeah. Well, that would bury a lot of people.
Yeah.
Did you stop right after that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And first of all, the third party they're terrible leads.
Yeah.
They're terrible leads.
I have a little bit of not a problem, but it icks me where there's lots of agents that are posting their outbound calls, and these are cold calls, and they're almost making fun of the situation and the conversation that they're having with the other line. So I don't know. I'm just feeling like that's not the right way. Why are you even putting this on social media in the first place?
100%
You're mocking the
agree.
situation.
In fact, I'm gonna take it even further. I think what we're doing on social media today as agents is wrong. We're making fun of things, light of things. We're not looking professional. It takes all the professionalism out of what we're doing. And the cold calling, I know I've seen that too, and I've questioned that. The silly, funny videos about selling homes. I just think, gosh, you're asking people to pay you sizable amount of money, and this is how you're going off. I don't know. Yeah.
Did you answer that question?
What would I do for agents today?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. When you're coming into the office, you're suited up. What can agents do today?
Well, I think first of all, you need to know who you are. And so a lesson that I do or an exercise I do with agents I'm coaching is let's find out who you are and who your avatar is, your perfect client. And what is something that you love to do? Where do you feel comfortable? What does that client look like? And then build opportunity channels off of that. So let's just be kind of crazy. Let's just say I love working with divorced couples because I like to counsel people. And I want happy endings for everybody.
That's nice.
So that could be divorced couples, right?
Yeah.
And there's good opportunity there because usually there's 2 or 3 deals there. So first of all, I'd say, okay, is that really who I am? Okay, yes, it is. What is the age of that couple that I would want to serve and want them to either call me every day, show up at my door, whatever it is? What does that couple look like? Are they young? Are they middle-aged? Are they, their kids just leaving and they're empty nesters? Are they seniors? Let's just break it down and get really... So that's what I would encourage agents to do is find out who is their avatar. And in this case, the couple that I would choose would be the empty nesters. There's less emotion involved. There's not kids involved. So it's just going to be an easier counseling situation. They probably have a lot of equity in their home.
Yeah.
So everybody gets to go away and have some money to go and buy something else.
Yeah.
So where would I find those couples? Where would I find that divorce? Well, of course, divorce lawyers would be a place that I would start marketing and being in. I might start working on building a program of how to help divorced couples walk through the exercise of selling their house. Because
like a 10-step process, create some marketing processing. Okay.
Because when there's trouble in the house, they're all searching for what's the next thing that we need to do. It would maybe be with counselors as well. You don't want to be an ambulance chaser, but you want to be somebody there that can serve and help because people have questions. So, that's just one example. The next one might be, what we talked about at Realtor Collective. We went through a whole bunch of different prospecting opportunities. One I call clubbing. Let's go clubbing.
Okay. And I'm imagining it's not the ball, the crystal ball, right? It's not the same type of clubbing. No. Okay. Just want to make sure.
You wouldn't want to see me on a dance floor. But it's about being part of clubs that you resonate with. So a great example is a friend of mine in Sparwood, BC, a little town in Sparwood, BC. Her first year, she sells 65 homes from clubbing.
Wow.
Okay.
So before she even got licensed, she is creating clubs. So she's a cyclist. She loves being out the outdoors, cycling, hiking. So she built clubs on Facebook groups, and started engaging with all these people in different groups. And then she started organizing events. Well, once she got her license, everybody goes, "Oh, Jen, you're my agent." So there's just so many different ways to generate business. And you have to want to do it. You have to be aligned with it, whatever that is. If you're a car nut, join a car club. If you're an avid outdoors person, then join some outdoor clubs. But these are just great ways to do that. But let's just say you need money in 30 days. What would you do? 30 days, I need a paycheck. You got to go where the buyers and sellers are. So stop trying to just, cast a great big net. Like, let's get out. We got to be snipers now. We just can't,
That's a good way to put it.
I like that.
No, you got to
we can't
target them.
We just can't shoot off whatever. We got to be very specific and go where the people are that are saying, I'm putting my hand up. I need to do something in real estate. So where are those people? Well, open houses are where those people show up. Going to events where there are buyers and sellers, that's where that is. Partnering with people that are in the business of helping other people do something. So that might be at presentation centers of developments.
That's how I got a lot of my leads. Yeah, because the salespeople can't do their own transactions. So I got a lot of leads from the salespeople.
Yeah.
Right.
Randy, I've enjoyed this conversation so
I
much.
wish
I'm
we
sure
had
Jenny
another
has
couple
too.
hours.
I know. We're actually almost at the top of the hour, but before we do our little fun game at the end, I have one last question for you. What do you think the future of the real estate industry looks like in the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you think it's headed? Does it have anything to do with AI? Like, what do you think people need to do, I guess, in order to be successful in real estate?
It's a biggie.
I know, sorry.
It's a biggie. AI is absolutely playing a big part. It's been playing a big part for years already. We just haven't called it AI.
That's right.
But AI is now full on. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to have our AI side of things, and our buyers and sellers are going to have their AI, and they're going to be talking to one another. And then they're going to get to the point where they now need you and I to actually distill it and discern the decision that needs to be made. And then that will enter. But I think there's going to be a lot of AI happening. I'm beta testing, cold calling AI right now. Like it's mind-blowing. So I think that's going to be a really big part of it. But hey, we're always going to be needed. I think, though, the agent count is going to shrink significantly.
When you say agent count, do you mean in general or moving from individuals to teams?
Individuals. So right now, call it 21,000 agents. I think that's going to shrink considerably. I think the fees are going to continue to rise. That's going to push some people out that aren't doing the business. Others are just going to give up. And the strongest and the best will survive. And I think people will seek out, they'll have better information. AI is going to help them pick a better agent as well.
Interesting.
See, right now, think about that. How do people pick their agents?
Some of them already think they're agents themselves, even though they don't have a license.
Yes.
Right? And to be honest, and this is really sad, they know more than the agent because the agent's not banking all this knowledge.
They do.
That's interesting.
It's really sad.
I don't see that. I see reckless people out there. They're like, yeah, this is a great idea. I'm going to represent myself. I'm like, wow, that's very dangerous.
That's what I'm saying. They think they know more than the agent.
Right. So I guess you're saying we need strong agents to be able to help guide them,
what we've said. We're just training the agents right now. And we want them in thousands. We want to impact these agents to do better and be better.
That's why we're here.
Yeah. And to add to your avatar, they're going to enjoy their work a lot more if they work with people who are aligned with them.
Absolutely. And get more referrals.
Yes.
Because when you align, referrals come. If you're not aligned, why would I give somebody a referral if I don't really it worked out, but it was a bit
Totally.
I think with the younger generation working in this business, they have a difficulty clubbing because they're more on social media. So the disconnect, the connection is actually a disconnect. So without the clubbing aspect, if they're not wanting to join these meetups and networking functions, what else can they do? And let's take telemarketing out of the picture.
What else can,
the open houses, right?
Well, open houses, but let's be frank. I think open houses are so poorly done. I think if I had to move to a new country, a new area code, I think I could kill that city with open houses, and I would be the open house king of that town. There's just so many ways that you can be the open house king or queen of a city and just crush it. When you've held a lot of open houses, and I held tons of open houses, people would come almost to my open house because it was me. Not that they didn't want to come and see the house. They just wanted to come and say, hi, Randy. And I got to know people on a first name basis that never bought from me because they came through all of my opens.
And for those listeners, he has an ebook on his website, How to Create an Open House Experience. So make sure you download that. Let's start off with the first question on the 5 rapid fire questions. So, Randy, what advice do you have for your younger self? You're just to start off in this business.
Believe in who you are and know that God's created you for something really special.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's so sweet.
The best gadget or tool you've purchased for under $500?
Best gadget. Well, I would say it's my cell phone.
It costs less than
Wow,
$500.
that's actually
Where is
very
the
low
cell phone?
3 words to describe yourself.
Oh boy. Resilience, underdog,
Ooh.
and committed.
Mm-hmm.
Who is or was the most influential person in your life?
My dad was pretty influential. Yeah, my dad, hardworking farmer, really wanted to succeed, really wanted to be the best at what he did. Very involved in his community. A bit of a change agent, I would say, change agent in our world.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Where is your favorite city to kiteboard
Oh,
or
wow.
country?
Favorite kite spot.
I'm asking because I kiteboard as well.
Do you?
Yeah. In
Wow.
Squamish.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Have I seen you there?
It's probably
Maybe.
pretty hard. I'm in my little hoodie, and it's hard because everybody's out in the water. And
You know what?
I may
What-
have hit your
What kite
your
do you
kite
what
before.
kite do you ride?
So I'm normally with the Squamish Water Sports. I'm normally on their boat,
Okay.
and they're like usually picking me up because I get into trouble sometimes. On
Okay.
my own.
Awesome. Well, we got to go kiting. We got to
Okay.
go kiting
You guys
together.
got it.
The Caribbean is so awesome.
Yep.
Turks and Caicos. Oh my goodness.
You
know, it's-
just name the spot I really want to have my honeymoon.
It's
One day if I ever get
You're getting
married.
married? No, I'm just kidding.
there's another realtor that I think he's there right now. Dan Wordle. Do you know Dan?
What's his
Wordle.
Wordle.
No, I don't know.
He's a kiter, and I think he's in Turks and Caicos right
Okay.
now.
Yeah. There's a small group of us that are realtors and kiteboarders.
You guys should do a strategy session.
We should
Yeah.
do a
there.
clubbing session.
That's what you
That's
should do.
right. Yes, and it's
Referral
the dancing, dancing on the water.
Our last question, Randy, where can our listeners find you should they want to reach out and be inspired?
And go on your webinar.
Yeah.
Just listen in and tune in.
Yeah, randydyck.com. It's an easy name to remember. Randy means something and Dyck means something. So just tie the two together, randydyck.com.
DYCK.
DYCK.
Mhm.
And I'm on Instagram, of course, IG and YouTube and all the likes. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing time with us today.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Randy.
It's been fun.